Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cindy.
And we're here with another feeding frenzy for the 4 spiritual laws of prosperity.
Am I getting in your
By
space?
Edwin Gaines. Well, I feel like I need to pull my head back every time you do that.
Well,
It's
here,
like, whoa.
let me help.
Hey! We are still on chapter 8.
We are.
And we're on number 8?
9.
9. Sorry.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Open your heart.
Open your heart.
Open your heart. This is a hard one.
Why is it a hard one?
Well, because you're supposed to make it a habit to allow everyone inside your heart space, even those people you don't like.
Yeah.
It's hard. Why is that so hard? Because we don't like them.
Yeah, well, there's that, you know. Well, for me, it's a protection thing.
That's true.
I don't normally scoot you out until you hurt
Mm-hmm.
me. And a lot of times, I'm one of those, not really a doormat, but almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to get hurt several times before I say,
That's it.
that's it. But I have a really hard time finding that line between, no, this is a boundary I've got to set, and I'm going to open myself up to be hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working with where is that boundary for me.
Mm-hmm. But, yes, I agree. But
I'm figuring out what does loving you from over here mean.
Yeah, but I don't really know that she's talking about those kind of people. I mean, she is. She says, choose one person whom you've had some negative feelings about in the past and try once more to open your heart to him or her. Knowing Edwin like I do, if it were somebody that's been abusive to you or somebody that has really hurt you in some way, she would not say that. Mm-hmm. I just don't think she would ask you to invite them back in. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a difference, I think, in inviting them to be in your space and inviting them to be in your heart. You know, we got to forgive.
Yeah.
And I think we can invite that forgiveness into our heart and even that person back into our heart. That doesn't mean we got to go spend time with them.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So.
Well, but how do you do that? And do you see what I'm saying? I'm having a hard time figuring out where that line is.
Yeah. That's a hard one. I think
finding out what that means for me. What does that mean to open my heart to them again?
For me, it's forgiving and not holding any grudges. And not avoiding, but not necessarily calling them up for lunch tomorrow either.
Right.
You know, I'm having that same difficulty with someone right now who has hurt me and hurt me and hurt me and hurt me. And they just tried to call me again a while ago while you were gone. And I did not answer the phone. And I had to struggle with that. Do I answer the phone and open myself up for hurt again? Or do I just let it go? So I let it go and I let them leave a message.
Yeah.
And I listen to the message.
Yeah.
And just hearing their voice sets me on edge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm ready to talk to them face to face or on the phone even. You know, so I have some more forgiveness work to do apparently, or at least some more release work around that. But by the same token, I feel like each time I have to think about it and deal with it, that I open my heart a little more to just let it go. Just let it go and be angry and not drag up the past and forgive a little more and take the emotion out of it. You know?
That makes more sense.
It's hard for me, but there's a hard line there. What I see this more as, and what I think is more helpful to me, there's a difference between people that have hurt us over and over and on purpose. Yeah. And just the people I meet in my everyday life that I judge before I even know them. And I think, I don't want to sit next to that person because they look different or I don't like the way they're acting, or, you know, I've judged them before I even speak to them, you know. Or I think, well, they're not as smart as I am. You know, or they don't know everything, or something like that before I even meet them, you know? That's where I need to drop my judgments of, well, I don't want to talk to them because they're not going to get it, you know? Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a tough one. It really is. It's how many times do you let people...
That's a touchy subject for me because I've been hurt so many times in the past. It's not an open and shut case for me. You know what I'm saying? I can move towards it but I always feel guarded. I would love not to feel guarded anymore, but I think that is, it just comes with it. After you've been hurt, it happens. Now, I can get to the point of forgiveness and let it go and that kind of stuff and not harbor ill feelings, but I don't find myself throwing my arms wide to give them a great big hug the next time we meet. Do you see what I'm saying? So I guess we're looking at various degrees here of open. I can be open to you, but still be guarded for my own safety. Because
it's hard.
It's a very hard line, and I hate that line. But I've found that in order to keep myself from being tore up all the time, and to stay out of doormat status, I have to draw a boundary there, and I have to say enough is enough. Recently, I had to do that with my son, and that's hard. It's extremely hard to find that line between I love you, but I can't be around you right now. And it's a very hard line between I want to close my heart to keep from hurting anymore, but at the same time he's my son, you know? So I'm learning that hard lesson there, where that line is. Where does my boundary start versus closing off completely?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. And I with people from my past, it's like, okay, I can forgive and I can let it go and I can not hold on to those hard feelings, those bad feelings. But every time I'm around them, I have to do that all over again.
You got to start there again. Yeah,
and
I get that.
It's hard, and it's almost to the point where I just hope I don't run into them anymore, because I don't want to have to go through this again. Because if the past holds true, they're going to do everything they can to hurt me again. And whether that's out of revenge or just to get my attention or just because they're angry because I don't fall into the drama with it, I don't know. But I just know
I think
running
you got to
into them's
stay true to yourself, and at some point you're going to need to let them know where you stand. This is the why, and this is what, and this is how. This is,
yes, but you've run into people today even who just don't hear you. No matter what you tell them, they do not hear you. And I've told them where I stand.
Yeah.
I've told over and over where I stand, and yet they just don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to accept it, and they're not gonna. And they're just gonna keep bulldozing right through. You know.
Well, it depends on how much you let them bulldoze.
Right. So I think there are some relationships where you have to put those boundaries.
Yeah.
And say, okay, I'll let you go this far, but that's it.
Yeah.
I just think we have to.
I think I had to get to a point where I say, you know, I love you, but I love me enough to say, I'm done hurting over this. And then until you can approach me differently, then you're going to have to stay there. And I think
the story we heard at church yesterday was a good one.
Yeah.
It was a really good one. Yeah. It was about, well, you want to tell it? Because I'm not sure I'll get it right.
Apparently, it's some kind of fable. Now, I had never heard it before
either.
And I'd be interested. I'd love to get with the minister and find out what book that came out of, because I would love to hear the other ones that went along with that one, because it was an excellent illustration. And basically, it was a man on his journey, and he approaches a bridge, and he gets halfway across the bridge, and he notices another man coming from the other direction, and the other man has several yards of rope wrapped around him. And he walks up and he hands the man a rope and asks him, will you do me a favor? Would you hold on to this end of the rope? And then without thinking, the first man says, sure. So he grabs a hold of the rope, and the second man decides to jump off the other side of the bridge, thereby becoming a weight, you know, on the other side. And the man that is standing on the bridge holding the rope, obviously in shock, he's trying to figure out, well, why did you just give me this, and why did you jump? And then the conversation, now, of course, I'm paraphrasing this greatly, but the conversation ensues trying to figure out, why did you jump? And the
why am I holding the rope?
And why am I holding this end of the rope? I don't understand this. And the guy that's dangling basically says, you got a decision to make. If you let go, I'm going to die. And
I'm your responsibility.
And I am now your responsibility. And it comes to that the one on the bridge decides, I do have a decision to make. I can continue on where I was going, or I can let this hold me here.
Mm-hmm.
And what I loved about it is he tells the man that's hanging off the side of the bridge, I'm now going to place this decision back into your hands. I'll hold this rope and I'll be your counterweight, but you're going to have to pull yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
I've offered and you haven't wanted to take me up on that, so I'm going to put the decision back on you. This is your life, and I'm going to let you make your decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if she said there wasn't a response
there
was no response. And so the man on the bridge says, I accept your decision, and he lets go of the rope.
Mm-hmm.
And the moral of the story being, how many times have we been left holding the rope to something,
mm-hmm.
and then we've got to decide
Mm-hmm.
what is best for me? Am I going to continue on the path that I was on, or am I going to let this hold me back? How long am I going to hold this rope?
Right. How many people hand us the rope and say, you're responsible for what happens to me?
Yeah.
And we don't even think about it.
Well, and on the other shoes, how many ropes have I put in other people's hands?
Right. Or how many
Assigning
ropes
blame.
have I grabbed?
Assigning blame and saying, I hold you responsible for this.
Mm-hmm.
So it hit me from both directions.
Yeah.
I have been the one holding the rope in several occasions, but I have also, can tell you honestly, that I have handed the rope to someone else.
But I don't
asking
think
for them to
some people
accept the responsibility.
don't hand us the rope, but we take their rope.
Yeah.
And hang on to it without them asking us
Yeah.
to. That was the one that hit me. I thought, oh my gosh, how many ropes do we grab on trying to help people out and taking on their responsibility until they depend on us to hold their rope, But if they don't pull themselves up, we don't have the responsibility to hang on to that if they're not helping themselves.
Right.
So it was a really good story to me.
It was.
Really
And it was
opened my
fresh on this, problem with my son. And that one hit me. It hit me hard,
Yeah.
But it's good because it allows me to see, I can look at him and say, I accept. I accept it. This is what he's chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say, I accept. And let it be. It's still hard to let
Still
go.
hard to do.
It's still hard to let go.
Still hard to let go. But you got to move on. Can't let it hold you back.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Some of the good stuff is hard.
Yeah. Hard good stuff.
Yeah.
String.